5:30, so I'll call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Fargo Board of Education. It is Tuesday, November 22nd, and I would ask you to join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will look for approval of the agenda. Robin?
I move approval of the agenda with the HR addendum that was provided at our seats.
I second that.
Seconded by Namal. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We will move on to recognition of audience. We have 2 speakers signed up this evening. At this time, the board will hear comments from the public. We ask that each speaker who has signed up to address the board state their name and home school district for the record. Speakers must refrain from using this forum to criticize or complain about a specific employee or student by name. Vulgar or profane language will not be tolerated. The board is interested in your comments and will listen carefully, but is not obligated to respond to or debate issues in this forum. Should you desire a written response to a specific question, you may request it. This evening, each speaker will be allotted a maximum of 5 minutes. Upon conclusion of the allotted time, a chime will sound and the speaker is asked to conclude. If necessary, a final chime will sound 15 seconds later, signifying the end of the speaker's time at the podium. I will now call our first speaker, which is Devin Statinsky. Welcome.
Two days in a row this week. It's a real treat. Before I forget, I hope all of you have a nice Thanksgiving. It's going to be a nice 4-day weekend for my family, at least. I hope it is for yours. But let's get down to brass tacks. In your land purchase agreement, I'm curious if you could clarify on record which entity is getting that $500,000. The way the language reads, I'm not up on property legalese, so I don't know if it's the school district that's getting the 500,000 or if it's A&T getting the 500,000. But that's neither here nor there. I'd also like to hit on something in the governance committee meeting from yesterday, which I enjoyed attending. It was rather insightful. Well, a couple things actually. I know that you guys don't want to do written responses anymore, but you have us put our email on the sign-up sheet. An email is twice as fast and is also technically a written response. It's just a thought. I know you all know how to use email, but Seth is the only one who's actually ever emailed me, so good job. That's all I've really had.
Thank you, Devin. Our next speaker this evening is Paul Moorher.
Hello. It's Paul Moore. I grew up my kids went to Fargo North here, so it's resident here. I was actually going to ask about the land deal. It's just a question. I was looking at the map and I'm trying to figure out where that was. So basically looks like these two pieces of land are kitty corner from each other where they connect. It describes it to be the northeast of, 9 or 3, and then the southwest of 9 or 3. But that one intersection there at 64th and 45th, they basically touch right there. So it's moving, a section of land is a square mile, so it's moving less, or a mile or less. And then we're spending $6 million to do that, from land that we already have to new land. And I'm just curious as to why that was going to happen. And I give the $6 million because we do get $500,000 graciously back. So I'm just curious about that. And my email's on there.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, we'll move on to staff reports. First up this evening, we have the FEA report. Kim Rieger let me know she's unable to be here, and I believe Matt Halquist is here for FEA. Welcome.
Hi there, my name is Matt Halquist. I'm an 8th grade middle school teacher at Ben Franklin. We don't have much to share, but we are glad to announce that FEA every month or every week in November has a jeans, and they extended it to favorite sweatshirt week, where staff then are asked to donate if they wear jeans to work or their sweatshirt. The money that's raised is then used to fund the FEA student scholarships that are awarded at the end of every school year to the 4 different high schools, which would be North, South, Davies, and Dakota. So that fundraiser raised $1,500, and we were pleased with that outcome. The other item is that this is a negotiations year for FEA and the district, and we're looking forward to building a negotiations survey in conjunction with the communications committee, which is coming up to identify topics of importance and further items. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Matt. Thank you for letting us know about that fundraising effort. That's very exciting. We are excited that FEA leadership was able to attend the CEA meeting and talk about a survey going forward. So moving on to the superintendent report, Dr. Gandhi.
Good evening. Nothing major to report, just that, as you know, that this is a short week. Today will be the last instructional day for our students as we go into Thanksgiving break, and with some staff development beforehand as well. So that is it.
Yes, Robin.
I move approval of the consent agenda with the HR addendum.
Okay, we hadn't even gotten there yet. You guys are great.
Second.
Seconded by Seth. Thank you both. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We'll move on to the business section of our agenda. The first item tonight is joint powers agreement for Cass County Career and Technical Education Consortium. This comes to us in memo number 57. So the Cass County Career and Technical Education Center, otherwise known as C3 Tech, is an area career and technical education center established in accordance with North Dakota Century Code 15-20.2. Established in 2014, C3 Tech serves 4 participating school districts. That's Central Cass, Fargo Public Schools, Northern Cass, and West Fargo. And the purpose of this joint powers agreement is to formalize the responsibilities of each participating school district and C3 Tech with respect to the operations. So I will look to Jim.
I'd like to move that we approve the joint powers agreement with Cass County Career and Technical Education Center, formalizing the responsibilities of each participating school district and C3 TEC with respect to the operation of C3 TEC.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Jim, seconded by Nikki. Is there any discussion? Yes, Dr. Gandhi and then Seth.
If Seth wants to go ahead first.
I just have a quick question, that's it.
Okay.
This wasn't clarified, but I'm just gonna assume this, that for the other 2 members of the board that need to be appointed, you're, as president, you're just gonna reach out and see who's willing?
I believe we're gonna tackle that at next board meeting after this first step is
Oh, we are.
approved.
Okay,
But
sounds
yes, there will be 3 delegates. Thank you for the question. Dr. Gandhi.
That covers a lot of what I was going to share. The C3 Tech organization, or the collaboration for ensuring that we can provide a wide variety of services in the Career and Technical Education Center. That structure has existed. What the Joint Powers Agreement does is really formalized and looked at North Dakota Century Code to look at what is the expectation toward that organization as we move forward and provide some role clarity amongst all entities. In doing that piece, one of the pieces that was discovered is that our representation of a board member needs to be proportionate to the student counts that we have, and therefore we need to have 3 school board members appointed on that C3 Tech board as well. So that will be coming to the December board meeting with a president's recommendation for approval of who those board members are. And then we'll have to institutionalize that practice with what the board does for assigning those liaisons moving forward on an annual basis.
Yes, Jim.
I just want to make one little typo fix here. If you look at page 2 at the very top, it says the CP30, I mean, the C3 Tech Center is governed by a board of 8 members. My South High math tells me as I read the rest of this, it's really 9 members. So I'd like to actually, before we vote, get the word 8 changed to 9,
Great catch.
if that's okay with everybody.
Yes, thank you. I did not notice that.
Is that an amendment?
Do we need to make
To
a
the
formal
motion?
amendment?
I guess it really does need to be an
Yeah.
amendment.
Okay, then I'll second that amendment.
Okay, an amendment is on the floor proposed by Jim, and it was seconded by Robin. Yes, Greg.
I mean, I'm sure someone here knows, it is supposed to be 9, right? It's not that, it's at maybe only 2 members from West Fargo to make it all add up to 8? Do we know that?
I believe based on representation, it would be 3 from each district, but I'll look to Dr. Gandhi.
One of the authors of the Joint Powers Agreement is right there, so I'll just defer to her.
Yep, I can tell you
It's
that
South High math.
my Bismarck High math was the original mistake. So it should be 9 members. We added a second one at the last minute to Northern Cass so that they had, or not Northern Cass, Central Cass so that they had 2 members. So it was 8, it's moving to 9.
Thank you, Tara. I realize this is a new number this year, so. Any other discussion? So we will do oh, yes, Katie.
Okay, is it in here written how many board members each district needs to have? Because it says Fargo. No, but I mean oh, right there. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? Thank you for the catch there. So we will now do a roll call vote on the amendment, which is to change 8 to 9 members first.
Nelson,
Yes.
Berkland,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Gullickson,
Yes.
Holden,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes, motion passes, or amendment passes. Now, is there further discussion on the motion on the floor is to approve this recommendation? I think we're good. So Emery, I'll have you call the roll for that.
Berkland,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Gullickson,
Yes.
Holden,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. We will move on to our second item of business, which is the land purchase agreement. This is on your desk as memo number 58. I'll just provide a little bit of history and maybe we can have some discussion here. As in your memo, Sanford is the owner of approximately 75 acres of unimproved real property located in Cass County, North Dakota. We'll call that South property. AT&T is the owner of approximately 63 acres of improved real property located in Cass County, North Dakota, known as North property. The Fargo Public School District and Sanford are currently negotiating a separate contract for the acquisition of the South property. The terms of the exchange agreement with AT&T are contingent upon the district and Sanford successfully entering into a written agreement for the purchase of that South property. Upon acquisition of the South property by the district and AT&T desire to exchange ownership of the South property for the North property. The district and AT&T acknowledge the fair market value of the North property exceeds the fair market value of the South property due to the difference in acreage and fair market values of the tracts of land being exchanged. So in order to equalize this exchange, the district will pay to AT&T an equalization payment. The details of that are listed here in your memo. The final equalization payment will be calculated based upon the actual final total square footage of the South and North property as determined by a certificate of survey. And then at closing, the district will pay to AT&T the equalization payment less credit for an unconditional charitable gift to the district in an amount, as we heard, of $500,000. Jim?
Yeah, I'd like to move that we authorize the execution of the exchange agreement with A&T for the simultaneous like exchange property of real property and payment of the equalization payment, less the credit in the amount of $500,000 for the unconditional charitable gift.
I will second that.
Thank you. Motion by Jim, seconded by Robin. Any discussion or clarification? Yes, Dr. Gandhi.
I was just going to say that obviously we wrote the memo at the time of posting this meeting as well. The contingency for the other entity, Sanford, we have received now from their legal department, the JPA as well. So very confident that the next board meeting that would be something that we'll be able to bring as well. And I did want to point out that also Rick Flaxbarth is here if board members have any specific questions as well in terms of this JPA. Or purchase agreement, sorry.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Greg?
And this might be a good question to bring our guest up for is in the discussions that this group has had about this over the past couple months, I don't recall anything about a $500,000 gift, and I was wondering if anyone else has a better memory than me, or if we can get an explanation of how that came to be.
I will welcome our speaker here. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and board members. Mr. Clark, in reference to your question, that actually did just come out of the blue. A&T Land felt that that was something that they wanted to give back to Fargo Public Schools as part of this deal. So they decided that $500,000 as far as a credit off of the original purchase agreement. So they are willing to do that as part of the entire purchase.
Thank you for that. Are there any other questions while we have him here?
I'll just ask Jackie one question, and then maybe we can answer Devin's question at the same time. That $500,000, is that just going to go into our building fund then?
That is correct.
Okay.
Nikki?
Just thinking through this, our other guest had a question, and it seemed as though he was believing that perhaps we were moving from one corner to the other. It's a little bit more complex than that, and I wondered if we could have a little bit of discussion, maybe just to try to head off that question, just in general.
Are you comfortable addressing that?
So basically, in order to secure the land in a fair market value, the Sanford land became available as a swap agreement. However, the Sanford land is not in the Fargo Public School District. It is actually in the West Fargo School District. So for us, we could, look at it and say, yes, that's why are we swapping it? The reason is we can't use that. I mean, it's not in the Fargo Public School district boundaries. But as far as availability and marketability for the development down the road for A&T land, they looked at it and said that, this is something that we would be interested in doing. So, as you know, this has been kind of a culmination of about 2 years of work in trying to get this accomplished. But what eventually will happen as we Fargo Public Schools looks at developing that property being adjacent to the Sanford Health Sports Complex in cooperation with Fargo Park District, that there's going to be a great opportunity there to not just utilize the next door neighbors' things that they're going to be developing, but ultimately I also think of it as a way of being fiduciary responsibilities and saying we can save millions of dollars by sharing those same you know, fields and programs and courts and so on next door, that ultimately will be something that I think the Fargo Public Schools would look at and say, this does make so much sense.
Thank you very much for that. Robin?
So would this be recorded, Jackie, as a reduction in cost or a donation? And if it is a donation, would it fall under any sponsorship naming opportunities?
I'm going to let Tara answer since she's telling me the answer anyway.
I would note that it's just a reduction on the purchase price. We're not actually receiving $500,000. They're simply removing it from the total price.
Great
That being
question.
said, I
Yes.
would like that we extend our thanks to him for that reduction in price. Although it on the surface is a donation, it's not how it is accounted in the books. But if you could extend that, thank you, I'd appreciate that.
Agreed. Craig?
So, I guess I'm not wholly convinced yet that it was the most charitable thing to do. To me, it honestly sounds like it might just be a way to lower the cost, to have us benefit by having a lower cost, and maybe a corporation to have a nice charitable gift on their records for tax purposes. And so I was wondering if Rick would be able to weigh in with his expertise as a real estate broker on whether or not if we were to have paid that extra 500,000, would that have been still at fair market price, or is it only with that 500,000 that we are getting the property at fair market price?
No, because we had already negotiated everything. We did not know that they were going to make the offer to reduce the price by $500,000. And so this came totally after we had secured the deal in principle. So they have already asked if they could do a 1031 exchange with the sale of the property to limit their tax liability. So really, the 500,000, either way, they would not probably have any tax capital gains to pay from that.
Wonderful. I very much appreciate your clarification on that, and I will join the rest of the board in thanking A&T for that charitable donation.
Robin?
One small response to that, for somebody that runs a charitable organization, the taxable benefits that organization would receive really don't affect us. So whether it's generous or not, or they receive a tax deduction or not, I think ultimately the Fargo School District is receiving a $500,000 deduction in the cost, and that is what we need to be concerned with. And I appreciate their charitable demonstration of charity to the Fargo Public Schools District.
Any further discussion? Excellent. Thank you so much for being here. Emery, I'll have you call the roll.
Christensen, yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Gullickson,
Yes.
Golden,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Berkland,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. I'm told we likely don't need this, but our next item is possible executive session for purposes of negotiation strategy. Will that be needed?
We can pass on that item this
Okay.
evening.
Thank you to our negotiations chair, Seth Holden. We'll move on to board reports. I will start with you, Melissa.
Sure. I don't have a lot other than last week was very busy. On Thursday, we had our legislator breakfast, which I thought went really well. So thank you to all of administration and Robin and Jim who coordinated a really successful breakfast. It was nice to meet, especially some of our newly elected legislators in the district. We had a productive negotiations committee earlier last week as well. And then CEA got to meet with both Kim and Grant from the FEA, and we had a productive conversation. So, yeah, committee work is in full swing, and that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Namal.
Thank you. On November 15, I was able to go to North Fargo North. Sorry, I was able to go to Fargo North for new students. It was very interesting because they all came from different country and different state within our state, and they were able to talk about their journeys, what they like, and it was very interesting. And then I get to tell them, hey, if you have a questions or anything, don't hesitate to email me. If yeah, practically that's what I said. So, and then on November 16, I was able to go to a meeting for Fargo Police Cultural Advisory Committees. I was over there. And then on the 17th, which is on Thursdays, I was able to attend that legislative session. It was really amazing. Get to meet new legislators that were just elected, and thank you to Robbins and everyone that were there. They all did amazing putting this event together. And then also too, I went to North High School's games with Katie. You know, that was it was amazing. The fact that they get to lose, I kind of just oh no, they can actually do. I just feel like they could have done better, but I'm sorry. I am so a sport person, so I was like, that's not the way. Go back the other way. Go this way. So sorry. Anyway, we'll get back to my info here, and then on the 18th, I was able to attend the CA CATS committees. It was really informational, and I really enjoy that. And then we get to see the FEA too as well with Melissa. You were there. Yeah. Yep. She was there. And then also too, I just get to meet with Jen, Sarah, and Dr. Ghani today. Thank you. Hey, my information, they're always fun.
Yeah, it was a tough loss in the
Yep.
Fargo Dome. Yes, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for attending. Okay, Seth.
On the 14th, we had a negotiations committee meeting. We'll have another one come up on the 1st of December. On the 17th, I filled in for Katie for the CTE meeting. And earlier that morning, also attended the information session for legislators, the breakfast. On the 18th, I visited Washington, had a great visit with Kathy, and it's the first time I was in that school, and it's amazing how large it is compared to what it seems like when you drive by on Broadway. It's way bigger on the back end. And then yesterday we had a governance committee meeting, and that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Robin.
As mentioned, I did attend the governance committee meeting. We had a great legislative info session. Thank you for everybody that was able to attend and participate. Those who were unable to attend legislatively have been sent the PowerPoint and our legislative document. Let's see here. Fargo Police Department's Badges of Unity Board meeting. I did attend. SRO's placement and training was a big topic. Thank you for Sergeant Jacobson for organizing that. Chamber Public Policy Committee meeting, also attended. We had some input there. They seemed very interested in retaining the cybersecurity legislative advocacy piece. And then I visited Kennedy on Friday. couple highlights. They started out in August with 435 students, and now they're up to 484. Not expected from the RSP report, but they grow and have to make changes pretty regularly. I learned about Bridges Math. That is a new math program that seems to be working extremely well. And then, of course, the last legislative session, there was some legislation requiring implementing the science of reading, so they are navigating that. Kennedy is in the 4th year of their restorative practices training. They've done the circles and restorative conferencing. That seems to be going extremely well. They are short about 4 paras, which is not unusual for any employer in town, but working on that. They have 3 SPED teachers that have H-1 visas, so I got to see them working with the students and had a great tour of the school, and the culture and the feel in that school is very calm. I don't know how else to describe it, but I hate to say, calm is the right word. And about that time, Principal Reggie brought up the Envoy, which is now Catalyst classroom management system. And then I received a demonstration on how to turn that off and on, and what a drastic difference that made in the students' behavior, and how their demeanor, if they're paying attention, being engaged. So if I would encourage other board members to look into, is it Envoy still, or is it Catalyst?
Catalyst.
Catalyst now. I read the book on the Envoy, which is great with the classroom management piece. But if you could request that during your tours, I would recommend you do so. That's all. Thank you.
Very good. I was actually fortunate enough to witness that in my centennial visit as well, see a classroom teacher do that. It's pretty impressive.
It's amazing.
It is. And as a parent, any mention of new math makes me very nervous, but okay. Moving on to Jim.
I attended governance negotiations, had a legislative planning session with Rupak and Robin. And actually Anne Marie and Tara were there too. Then the legislative session, and mostly I just want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you for that. Nikki.
Thank you. Several of my things have already been mentioned, but I'll try to go in order here. The day after our last board meeting, I attended the FPS Foundation meeting. Always love that one. It's a fantastic group of people doing wonderful things for our kids in our district. Monday the 14th, we had negotiations. Tuesday the 15th, National PTA held a webinar on our nation's report card, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, which was very insightful, and got to see they're learning now. They're starting to get some of that data in from COVID and what effect that's had nationwide on our education for our kiddos. The 16th, I attended the NDSBA Lunch and Learn, which was on board committee work, and it seems like we can never learn enough on this, but what an important role it plays. Thursday was the legislator breakfast, which I found absolutely fascinating, but that's the first one I've been to in person, because when I came to the board, it was COVID. And so it was wonderful to be in the room with those folks who help steer those decisions. And I thought everybody did a great job. Robin coordinating, and Rupak and Jim, everybody presented, and I thought just did a really nice job. The 18th CEA, last week, we had the FEA focus, and we're working hard with them to try to find ways for both of us to move forward together, working with them to share some of the same data, and just more collaboratively. So I felt really good about that. And Monday we had governance. Today we are here. So thank you.
Thank you. Greg.
Yeah, I too attended the negotiations committee last week. And then I unfortunately had to miss all the fun everyone else has described because I was out of town. So I'm excited to have learned the progress made by the CEA committee to kind of jointly collect data with the FEA. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Might I interrupt?
Oh,
Greg also donated for the donut fund since he was not able to attend. So
Oh,
thank you
Yes,
for
my,
that.
my
for our
contribution
legislative
to the
breakfast.
legislative breakfast was to stay out of the way and provide donuts.
And the Sandy's donuts were a hit, so
Oh, good.
maybe that should just, yeah. Nikki, did you forget something? Did you want to say one more thing? Okay.
I did. Sorry if I could jump in, and it was one of the most important pieces, but as I was remembering, my list wasn't in order. But last Friday after our CEA meeting, I went out to Bennett and spent a chunk of time and had a really great visit. I got a tour of all things Bennett, met several staff members. As I was about halfway through, I was able to meet with the principal, the assistant principal, I believe it was Julie, took me around, and then we met Sarah a little bit later. But we had wonderful visits, saw lots of things, talked to staff, saw how things are working out there. And then they invited me to go back. Yesterday, they had drumming teachings with Ricky White. And so I attended the third grade session of that. And it was absolutely fabulous to see him work with the kids, to see the impact on those kids. They were chitter chattering all the way back to their room. And I think they had 5 classes in there. So that was really a real treat. That's one of the things that I enjoy most about board services, getting into our schools and seeing our kids. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Katie?
Sure. So similar to the other board members, I also attended the championship football game, the legislative breakfast, and the communications committee meeting. Beyond that, I was invited to shadow some paraprofessionals at South High. And so I spent a full day on November 14th at South High, and I went to all 8 periods with a different para for each period of the day. It was very, very insightful, especially to see how our paras, I mean, they don't have like a prep period or anything, so they're like on it from period to period all day long, very short lunch break. They have really great, I think, interactions and relationships with the students. I think, like a lot of people in public education, may be frustrated with pay, which I think we can all understand because we wish we had more money that we could pay these people who have such an important role in our students' lives. But they all made it very clear to me that they do the work because they love the students. And so it's definitely stressful at times. And just being a board member in the building, I saw a lot of gratitude from the teachers and the paras and the students. The students in the 8th period English class invited me back to see their presentations on Friday. So I was back in the building on Friday during 8th period so I could watch them do their presentations that they were preparing on Monday. So it was a great experience, and I just look forward to doing things like that more. Thursday through Sunday, I gave a lot of my time to Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at Fargo North High. They just put on a fabulous, fabulous production. Students, staff, and volunteers really made that work. And I'm very proud of the theater program that our district has here. I think that's all I got.
Very good. What a unique experience spending a day with a parent. Very great. Okay, I will give a brief. Oh yeah, did you name all?
Yes, I forgot one piece. I know maybe if she's watching, that's good. I want to say thank you to Michael Miss Langs from Davies Orchestra. I was there on November 17 for the concert that they had, and it was so incredible. You all should have been there. The kids did amazing job playing the cello, playing their guitar, not guitar, but their, what is it called, the other one? Anyway, a lot of strings were being played there. I just want to say she did an amazing job, even though they were really short with the staff. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, it was a busy week, team. I'll give a brief president's report. I attended the Council of School Health meeting on November 15th. That evening, I actually attended the Davies Choir concert and could just echo all the sentiments said here tonight. It's amazing in the arts in our school district. I too attended the NDSBA Lunch and Learn on school board committees. I always walk away from those just feeling like Fargo Public Schools is really doing such a great job. It's almost like we're just getting it right. So that's always reassuring. At the legislative session was excellent. Thank you to Jim and Robin so much for your efforts, and to Dr. Gandhi for presenting. I really appreciated the information that we were able to deliver to our legislatures. Yesterday was a governance meeting, and then directly after that, I had lunch with FEA President Kim Rieger in our effort to meet once a month, and we had really fruitful discussion. So I will move on to affirm our next regular meeting date, which is December 13th. And unless there's anything else, it is 6:10 and we are adjourned. Thank you.